back to the Thunder Rooster podcast. My name is Ron.
I'm Paul.
And we are joining ourselves today to another... Did I say joining ourselves? We're here to do our second part of the Metallica.
Part 2.
Yeah.
Brought my Metallica again.
I still
And
need
represent.
I still need to up myself up on
That's
that.
okay.
Yeah.
We have time. It's all good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot better.
Yeah.
We had a nice little incident at work yesterday that you had a little privy to that, but apparently they're doing some renovations to one of the side rooms we used to call the dungeon. Well, they completely scrapped that all out, and they decided that they're going to remodel that and make it a showroom type thing. Well, they're doing an epoxy on the floor, and the epoxy part wasn't bad. The resin part you have to put on the epoxy wasn't bad. But when they put the hardener on, they decided to do the whole thing at once, and it completely filled up the entire warehouse with god-awful fumes.
I couldn't breathe, man.
Gave me a headache, made me nauseous.
You
and
went
I was
home.
like,
couldn't even work.
I'm out of here. I can't do this.
No, I mean, seriously, all jokes aside, it was rough, man. I mean, I walked through a couple times, and I was like, I felt lightheaded, and it wasn't safe.
It was not a good thing at all. Like, I'm really surprised they didn't just shut it down. Like,
but we're good.
Go, but
we're good.
I'm alive.
We're good.
I'm good. I was a little high when I got home yesterday, but I'll chalk it up to good times. So yeah, Metallica Part 2. We were a little long-winded in our first Metallica. It was our second podcast. Cut us a break.
Got to cut a little slack.
But yeah, the reason why we had so much time in between is because we wanted a little bit of feedback and stuff on it. But as we've learned and kind of had the idea of, starting up a podcast, YouTube channel, what have you, it's a slow process. Mm-hmm. And, we honestly haven't got that much feedback on it. So, but we didn't want to go too long without having a second part to it.
Right.
So we definitely wanted to kick back on it. So stuff's still fresh with us, even though it's been a few months.
No, but we focused the first 20. Now let's focus on the future 20.
Right. And then I'm sure there'll probably be another 20 after that.
If that happens, God bless them. I mean, the Rolling Stones are at that point now.
Right.
Why can't we be that point?
Well, it's kind of hard to
think about. They're going to be playing rockers. God, you know how weird that's going to be if they were? It's like, ugh. At that point, just give up.
Right.
But anyway.
Yeah, I'll never forget you telling me about going to Metallica last time they came through in Cleveland.
Yeah, February of 2019.
I was so jealous.
I felt bad. If I would have known maybe what I know now, I would have been like, baby, I love you. Can I take Ron instead? No, she would have killed me. No. She would have killed me. No.
Right.
But maybe let's be hopeful. Maybe in a year or so, because they're still at the top of their game. Because I told you that was the fourth time I saw them, and that was the best I saw of them.
Yeah,
it was wonderful.
I mean, just seeing what they're doing with their live streams and stuff like that. I mean, the guys look great. I mean,
they do.
You'll learn further down the road. Yeah. James came out of rehab and looks way better than he did when they recorded their S&M 2 live.
Far, it was night and day. The guy
rough.
needed a little help, and it looks like he got it. But
all right, let's take it.
Let's go
all the way back to 2000.
In the year 2000.
Y2K.
Y2Ks. Yeah.
When all the computers were suddenly going to burst on fire and everybody's going to die at the stroke of midnight.
Were you worried about that, though? The year 2000?
Dude, I was like, what? I was about to turn 15. I was like, why what's up with Y2K? I don't get it. All right. Yeah. But we did have friends of the family that were like bunkering down.
Oh, God, everyone was that I knew.
Yeah.
And you just disappeared at that point.
Speaking of which, 2000 leads us to Metallica releasing a song for the Mission Impossible soundtrack called I Disappear. And I'm not going to lie, the song is a banger.
I agree.
I love that song.
I haven't listened to it in a long, long time.
Yeah.
But I agree. I do like it.
I mean, there's a lot of Metallica songs that I haven't necessarily heard in a long time, but it comes on. It's like, yes.
And it had a cool music video. Like,
yeah.
They were just out and outdoors and just mountains and just a lot of flashing
right,
photography.
They were on top of a plateau.
So awesome. I mean, it would like look like an action movie.
Right.
And that's what they were trying to, appease. So
yeah, that was the gist of it. Yeah,
sure.
So after we got the little taste of Metallica again, they kind of run into a little brick wall, so to speak. But really, it wasn't just them. The whole music industry ran into a giant wall of China.
But tell them how they found how this happened.
Napster came about, and
so they turned on the radio one day and heard their song playing, and they're like, no one should have this. So they tracked the source down.
Oh, that's what you meant.
That's okay. We're working at it. We're good.
I completely heard that differently.
No, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So they end up hearing the song on the radio, and they had no idea how that happened.
Right.
Now, again, 2000, we don't have, this is just starting out. The whole MP3, the whole sharing. So they had no idea how that came about. They heard it on the radio. Well, they have connections. They're worth a lot of money. They could trace these things, find these things. And then they found it being, it was from a peer-to-peer group. They found it from someone's computer. They investigated further, and then they found out that underground, there was this file sharing program called Napster, which grew to this huge conglomerate at that point.
Yeah.
So at that point, then, what happens next?
They sue the shit out of Napster.
Napster!
Before we get into that, let's share a little bit of our own experience with Napster, because we're both musicians. Yes. We both know how the game is played.
Right.
And we have to kind of talk a little bit about how the music industry had changed at that point. And what I mean by that is, when I was in high school and I first got into the whole file sharing thing, I went ham on that stuff.
Oh, dude.
Like, there was so much stuff. I didn't have a job at that time. I wasn't even of age to have a job. And I was in
college, and I'm like, I'm not working.
I'm not Ron Swanson. I wasn't working at the age of 6. But, I was a fresh musician. Like, I'm trying to eat up as much music as I can to challenge myself to learn songs. But, I didn't see it as bad because I kind of related it to how I would take blank cassettes and just throw them in the radio tape player, hit record, and, I get my own playlist of songs off the radio.
Right. Whereas it would be almost the same thing as burning a compact disc.
Right. Yeah.
But burning a lot of compact discs. Yeah. And everyone getting a copy of it.
Well, I remember, I didn't actually have access to a computer to do that myself. We had one guy who was like an IT nerd in high school. And literally, we would all write down a list of songs.
What do you guys want?
Hand it to him. Yeah. He would download all of them and give it to us, our own disc. And he didn't charge us any money for it.
No, because he had all the songs on his
hard exactly. That's how free that song was.
So, Ron, what would you like? Oh, you want a Black Album? Okay, cool. Let's go. Yeah.
That's the funny thing of it is I never went for any albums. I just had certain songs, and I had I think it was the first time ever they were able to cram 40 to 50 songs on a CD.
Right? What? Oh, yeah, the data CDs? Oh, yeah. Loaded in the car. You're excited. Yeah.
But yeah, me and Paul both, when we got into college and stuff like that, you ran into the whole thing where they'd post warning signs. Don't.
Oh, my God.
Don't do this. We have software to track if you do this. And all that. And of course, they ran stuff. They even prosecuted people. For that got nowhere, obviously. It's one of those things that grew to a certain point. You just couldn't stop it. It's still going on to this day. I don't know, I personally have not done that since, 2006, 7, something like that. But I just haven't heard much about it. I more hear about people downloading movies.
Right.
Movies that haven't came out yet, that sort of thing.
No, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, for me, I was right at the height of that, of course. And now I had, at this time, I probably had at least a couple Metallica albums. Mm-hmm. I had a good amount. I didn't have everything yet, but I was one of those people. Yeah, I mean, People on our dorm floor in college, they were downloading music left and right. I mean, I had a couple thousand songs at one point. I mean, I was thrilled to the will. But there was someone on my floor that got one of those notice from the university, and we are all like, oh, damn, we're all screwed.
Right.
But nothing came about, at least at that point. But obviously, I have a different view about that now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, I'm, a broke college kid. I'm like, whatever, screw you guys. I want to go buy a CD. I go to Sam Goody, and I'm like, it's like $20.
And
that was part of the problem because the music was really, really expensive back. I mean, it's come down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time you had to blindly buy what you were.
Yeah, you couldn't listen to anything. You couldn't be like, oh, like now we can go to streaming sites and be like, oh, let's preview this before I buy it.
Right.
You didn't have that luxury, so it's like people didn't want to keep shelling out this kind of money for something they didn't know about.
I mean, the luxury was there. It's just you didn't really want to hear it because they had like maybe 4 players in the whole thing, and they were playing certain albums that you could sample.
Right.
And not only that, people would sit there and listen to a whole album. So they'd be on the headphones and stuff for an hour long, almost.
Right.
And everybody's sharing headphones. I think that's kind of gross. But, it just wasn't a great way to try and sample music. So you just had to blindly buy it, and maybe you like 2 or 3 songs on the album.
I mean, when Metallica made that announcement, I was kind of concerned just because I had all their albums on the computer.
Right.
And I had a majority of them on the CDs. But I'm like, what would they do? I'm like, would they really come after me and be like, I'm a fan of yours. I already paid for your music. I just think this was an easier way to put it on my computer so I don't have to keep uploading it and whatnot.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, I can talk about it a little later, but I think it's a little different. I don't know.
Yeah.
We've basically seen what has come about this.
Yeah, just to wrap the Napster part up.
So we can move along.
The quality of music that we have now is a direct effect of the Napster and the file sharing thing.
Yep.
It's all become more about who's going to bring in the most money for the record labels. And that's what you hear. You hear the same fucking people every year on the billboards. Every fucking year. And there's obviously a lot of great music
sure
out there, and it's easier to get your music up and out there. I got stuff up. I'm nobody.
You're somebody.
But I mean, it's just there's so much music coming at you now, and the only big money's getting pushed behind is the same kind of fucking people. And of course, a lot of it's rap stuff because all that money that was going to bands and stuff, now you only have to push money into one person. So that's more money for the record labels.
Oh, they pretty much excluded rock music now.
Yeah.
Look at the charts now, and they've pushed it off.
Yeah.
But
times are changing.
Times to be a-changing, yeah.
But all right, so get in the whole Napster thing, money good, Napster bad. Right here.
Conclude, rock on, Metallica fans. We'll see you on tour this summer. And you Napster users, we'll see you in jail getting gang raped. Money good, Napster bad.
Right there.
But yeah,
so the thing was that they got the lawsuit, they won, and then what ended up happening was that there was a German company called Bertelsmann BMG, who bought the rights to Napster for $94 million. But the weird thing is I was looking, I'm like, okay, maybe they got some of that compensation for the copyright infringement, but I could not find that anywhere.
Yeah. And
it was just basically, that's what came about. And then a bankruptcy judge in America was like, ruled it and said, no, they just threw it out. So I'm like, they blocked it. They blocked that.
I wonder if it was one of those things is like there's no way to kind of recuperate any of that.
So they basically just said for Napster to liquidate their assets.
Yeah.
And just put that disclaimer like, hey, if the artist does not want you to get this album or song or whatever, then they have the right to do it, but it has to be put up there.
Right. So they basically shut the door on Napster, and then you had all kinds of other places pop up because LimeWire,
Morpheus.
Yeah, Morpheus.
Everything. And then it just led to more viruses.
Yeah, right. Oh my god.
Oh man, I couldn't even tell you. I mean, it killed my computer. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I was pissed. I took it in. I'm like, just save my music. It was all gone.
Sure, it was music.
But yeah.
So after this whole Napster thing, we run into another bassist problem in the band. Jason Newsted ends up quitting the band in 2001. For obvious, I mean, I'm not going to say obvious because some people may be watching this and not know anything about Metallica.
Sure.
So
right.
he basically left the band due to the fact that he wanted to branch out a little bit, make his own album, record, or just make a different kind of music from what he was doing in Metallica. And, you know, James, in particularly from like the Some Kind of Monster thing that we'll get into in a minute, but like he didn't want to share his little Jason with the rest of the world, basically.
Still doesn't.
But yeah, and you were saying he was having surgeries and stuff.
So something that I did not know about Newsted. Of course, yeah, he was in the band for a long time. He picked up after where Cliff was. He was a huge fan of the band.
Right.
Absolutely amazing musician.
Yeah. If
you guys don't know who he is, I mean, check him out. He's not as popular as a lot of other musicians, but the way he plays and what he puts in day to day, it's incredible.
Just the little, I mean, I'm not gonna say little. He was with Metallica for about 15 years. Was it?
He was with,
I mean, he's a legend.
Voivod.
Voivod.
Yeah. But the main thing was, it's like, yes, he wanted to work on an album. Mm-hmm. And like you said, when you're with your group of people, it could be a band, it could be anything. It's like, you guys want to do things that are different. You don't want to do the same thing. He wanted to go that route. Lars and James are probably two people that are difficult to work with, maybe, because they're absolute perfectionists. And I'm not going to say anything bad, but it just kind of seems over time, it's like those two run the show. They are the, the motor, the caboose. Like it's their train. You ride it or you get off.
Well, I mean, even them two, I mean, they make it work, but you can definitely tell both of them have a hard time working with each other sometimes.
Absolutely. We'll get to that in a minute, So it had to do with that. He was hazed and picked on and just abused to shit. I mean, there's so many videos online that just show him just getting screwed.
Yeah.
And it was part of the hazing and everything. It's like, and he showed them what he was made of, but I think it had to do with that. But then the crazy thing is, it's like, okay, all the touring, all the playing. I mean, he ended up having an addiction to painkillers, which I did not know. Mm-hmm. And at that point, it was like he had the addiction. He was, he had a lot of surgery on both his arms and whatnot. But, he was able to overcome that. Right. But part of the reason he left was because of that, because of not having enough focus, because he's a full-time musician. He's not a seasonal musician. So with the court shenanigans and things like that, he was like, I just need to do my music.
Yeah. We'll take a quick little break and we'll give you, in Jason Newsted's own words, why he left.
I had a proposition. That's how the meeting started. Let's just take 1 year off.
Jason told us that he was unhappy with the band. We said, why?
Don't you think that'd be cool and everybody can have their time and I could go and make my Echo Brain record?
We said, we can't take time off. We have to start making an album.
So I said, okay, well, I'm going to have to step off. I'm walking.
All right, you heard it from the man himself.
Yes, Mr. Bass.
You're up. Slap it to bass. So, obviously, he felt restricted and he wanted to branch out and just kind of get his own stuff out. So, he goes on his own path away from the band. And the band...
There's missing a bass player at this point.
They're rocked. He rocks their world, essentially, and not in a good way. The band enters into a recording space and start working on what now is known as Saint Anger. And
snare.
Hold yourselves in, because this is going to be a little rough.
A bumpy ride.
So, during this process, they started doing the documentary filming for Some Kind of Monster, which is kind of a it didn't come with Saint Anger, but essentially it's one of those things that kind of went one with the other the whole process of recording Saint Anger, all the deep dives of, each band member's personal thing. And of course they're going through the whole breakup period with Jason, and it gets ugly. It
was, you see what's in there. I mean, those guys had built up frustration and issues that needed to be addressed. And I think looking back, I think that helped them tremendously, because over the years we see such respect between each of them.
Yeah.
Which I can tell you, I didn't feel like I saw that 20 years ago.
Right. They ended up bringing out a psychologist. I think it's a psychologist. I just call him a shrink all the time. So,
hey, doc.
Well, they bring in Phil Towle. I think his last name's pronounced Towle, but he's a
almost like a life coach
in a sense, but he's a performance enhancer. He's worked with other bands. I don't know what bands. They didn't go into that, but as well as professional sports teams. And as you're watching that documentary, you see he is helping the band, but you can also see he's overstepping his bounds a lot.
Yeah, with those Hawaiian shirts.
Oh yeah, that was an abuse for everybody.
Kidding.
Talk about getting psychological with people. But so they're going through this, and basically what they're going for with Saint Anger is they want to take it back mainly in their mindset. They want to be like
the garage band they once were.
It's a garage band, but
raw.
It's if the garage band's Metallica.
Yeah.
So, I don't necessarily agree with that approach. I don't think it turned out that well. You
think?
They went with producer.
Insert snare right here. That'll tell you enough of it.
Here's the thing with that. I think the snare was one of the most original things of that album.
I think that snare was complete shit.
It was, but I'm saying is like they were going. It was a particular time in the music industry. Well, yeah, I'll say music industry. But, a lot of new sounds are coming up, and, Metallica's starting to feel dated.
True. So new metal is coming out.
Yeah, like they nixed the whole solo thing.
Right, the likes of Korn and Linkin Park and Deftones. I mean, those bands were pushing full forward at this point.
I love those.
I know.
Bands.
And I saw most of them.
Yeah.
Shut up, Paul. Gone.
You old fucker. But, so they're really trying to experiment with new things, and some of it works and some of it doesn't. I think a lot of it had to do with Bob Rock producing that album. Now, I can't say bad things about Bob Rock because, he's Bob Rock.
He's the only one, in my opinion, that from Black Album, like he pushed those guys.
Right.
Because those guys were like, we're good and everything, and we don't need any, pointers. He's like, no, get your asses back in there.
Well, I mean, the thing with Bob Rock, and we'll get into it when we get into the Death Magnetic thing, but Bob Rock produced all their records since after And Justice for All the way up to Death Magnetic. And so they have a good track record with Bob Rock.
Of course.
He obviously gets them, and, they work well together.
And he worked with a lot of musicians as it is.
I mean, for crying out loud, they gave us the Black Album, and say what you will. I know the previous albums are works of art themselves, but the Black Album is what shot them through the roof.
Right. I think it's a work of art.
So, it's just, it kind of angers me, saying anger, that was allowed to come out the way it did, because I just think at that point there's too many yes men, and the band was at a fragile state.
Right.
So maybe not giving your full honest opinion might break Metallica up and there won't be a band anymore. And everybody in that room's like, you guys better get your shit together because we need to work. We got houses to pay for. We got families to feed, They're like, yeah, that was fucking great. Yeah, that snare sounds awesome.
Good, guys. We just did one take. Can we go home? Sure. Okay. Shit.
But yeah, it was The only great thing I can say that came out of that is they found a new bass player, Robert Trujillo. That dude is a beast.
Fucking the man.
Yeah. Of course, anytime you're going into a new member of a band, you're obviously suspicious of it. You're like, I don't know if this will work. Obvious reasons. They don't look like the other person did. They don't sound like the other person did most of the time. The only kind of thing that kind of just happened to work out in that kind of situation is when Joey left Slipknot and they brought in Jay Weinberg. Almost the same height, same build. Yep. They play practically the same way. Maybe the mask helps. I don't know.
Maybe. It's a superpower.
But, I mean, there's a lot to be said about St. Anger. We don't want to go too far into it.
Let's not.
There's to say that there was artistic liberties taken that I didn't agree with because I think they were trying too hard to sound modern. You know, Metallica is unique by themselves, and them trying to
be something they're not is not going to work.
It was not authentic. It was crazy. Don't get me wrong. I'll bring it up in our pecking order.
Right. You have to give them credit.
Yeah. I have a song off St. Anger on our pecking order, so you know I don't hate the album.
Concerned.
I am. So moving along. MTV Icon. The band gets their little MTV moment on the Icon series.
I remember taping that on VHS.
I definitely did that.
I had a little 19-inch TV, and I told my roommates, I'm like, no one is turning the TV on. I got to tape Icon. They're like, you're a weirdo.
At least they probably understood. You had to fight my parents because, you know, I was a freshman in high school.
Yeah.
You old fart.
It's all right.
No, I think the best thing to come of that, though, was the fact that Korn covered one, and it was amazing.
It was very good.
It was so good. I was a huge Korn fan. That was probably my favorite band at the time. You know, this was before Slipknot blew up in my mind. But, yeah, just hearing the combination of two bands I love, you know, Metallica's one, and they basically did it the way it was supposed to be done, but they had the Korn sound to it, you know. It was really well done. Maybe I'll put a little snippet or something in here so you can go what I'm talking about.
I was very excited when Snoop Dogg came out.
He did Sad But True.
That was so awesome. I'm sitting on my couch.
I wouldn't say awesome.
It was awesome. I'm sitting there. He's like, hey. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I thought not only he came out, but I thought maybe like Kid Rock was going to come out.
Really?
Because he's got that one. I forget what the song is. It's horrible, but one of his songs has it's got the Sad But True beat in the background.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
I can't think of the name of it.
Call Me Cowboy.
Yeah. And so like I thought maybe he'd come out to that. So I was really surprised. I just thought it was cool because I still didn't see many hip hop artists that were like really into Metallica, even though like there was this movie called Biker Boys that came out several years ago. The reason I'm giving the stupid pun is that
was Ice Cube in that?
No, that was Ja Rule.
Oh.
And the only reason I know this,
sorry, Cube.
I love Ice Cube. But the only reason I know that is because I actually won tickets to go see Metallica.
Fuck you.
And I won them on the Buzzard. It was my 07, 08 show, one of those two. But my answer to get the tickets was who was the famous rapper in that. And the person that called before said Snoop Dogg, and I was up next. I was like, nah, let's Ja Rule. And then I got the tickets. I was like, thanks. I never even saw that stupid movie, but I went.
Right. That's awesome.
But I like the fact that like, because I like Snoop. I really appreciate what he does. And I was like, for him to come out there, I thought that was such a cool moment.
Yeah.
All the bands were good. Don't get me wrong. He was really excited about Avril Lavigne.
I fucking hated that so much. I can understand how she ended up with Chad Kroeger now.
Anyway, let's move on.
Let that marinate.
Yeah, let that a little bit. But all these bands paid respect to them. It was cool. Like, it was a couple hours. It was like they all celebrated them, and then they came out the end. They kind of get a little snippet of. Was it St. Anger? Or was it? Let me think.
No, I think they played Frantic.
It was Frantic. Yep.
Yeah.
So that was cool. Yeah, it was cool, and it was like because they only did a couple of those shows. I think they did one for Aerosmith.
Yeah, they had one for Janet Jackson.
Nice.
I don't remember any.
I think it was,
you're
right. I think it was Janet, Aerosmith, something like that. But that was a big deal.
Yeah,
It
was at the time. I mean, MTV hadn't gone completely TikTok the way they did.
Full reality show.
I thought you were going to.
I know you were going to go Simple Jack. I didn't do it. No. I didn't Simple Jack that one. That was close.
Got any tips?
But yeah, it was a cool show. They all show their respect, and obviously I think that probably helped them in the process of what they're going through.
Yeah,
or at least really kind of what I think it was more James, but I'm sure it was collectively for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, definitely at the end of them recording Saint Anger, I mean, they got their shit together. They worked out all the kinks and whatnot. And I'll make an analogy kind of thing of what I think from that point on is later, but you definitely start seeing this seed grow for the band. I mean, it begins to blossom, so to speak.
Right.
So, they tour the shit out of this album, and I mean, they spend 3-4 years
on the road
going on it.
Excuse me. Which is kind of typical with them.
Yeah, they're
kind
a
of
big
do
band.
like 2 years, kind of like a 2-year tour, and then they give themselves breaks in between for their family and everything.
Well, their tour cycle is the world, so
right,
it's going to take some time.
Yeah,
and by the time they've gone a full revolution around, it's about time for them to do another one. So
true.
I'm sure they do it like twice, and they're like, okay, we need to make another album. Spend some time with our kids.
Who's got time for that? Yeah. Kidding.
But yeah, so by 2008 they end up releasing Death Magnetic. It was produced by famous producer Rick Rubin.
You mean the part-time producer?
Something like that.
That guy just, man, he knows how to cash checks.
I know, right? It's just like he shows up.
He's like a lawyer. He's like, here, I'll be here for like maybe less than an hour. You just
That's how I feel like he works because, we've already talked about him working with Slipknot and him working with System of a Down. It seemed like he was really interested in System of a Down, so I can understand him working with them. Right. I didn't see a whole lot of the recording process with him or anything like that, but it was kind of a similar situation with what we saw with Slipknot, where I watched the making of Death Magnetic again, and I saw him on there like twice. And the shot that I remember seeing off the top of my head was him just laying on the couch with Lars standing over him talking to him.
Yeah.
Maybe
that's how he does his work. I don't know. I can't
I would comment. Love that job. Just show up and be like, that sounds all right. Maybe you should change that. I'll be back next week, same time.
So what have you guys done since I've been gone? Oh, fix that. I'll be back next week.
I hope
and then the bill just keeps building and building.
I hope we don't make a habit of just shitting on Rick Rubin, because I'm sure he's done a lot of great work.
He's very he's a very important figure in music.
Yeah, for sure.
We go back to Run DMC and Aerosmith. I mean, that's a whole nother.
But it could be really fun to shit on Rick Rubin. We'll do it from the heart.
Yes, with love. So we got Death Magnetic.
How do you feel about this album, Paul?
So what I thought, I'm not a fan of Saint Anger. I listen to it here and there. I know how we differ on that. So Death Magnetic, there were good points to that album and not so. Production terrible again. I don't know what it is to be like one of the biggest bands in the world and you can't find the right engineers to mix your stuff. It really bothers me. I
wonder if they have the problem of like they have so much money to throw at it, but they're like, we need it to be raw. We need to connect with
because
the common folk.
Death Magnetic, either if you put it, in your surround system or you're listening it, with noise canceling headphones, whatever it is. I mean, you can hear the differences between tracks, and there's stuff where certain drums sound louder than others. But overall, because of where they were at, they wanted to do something new with Saint Anger. And then the fans weren't really thrilled about it.
Right.
Going back to they cut their hair. They weren't a fan of that. They're like, where are the solos at? They weren't a fan of that either. They were trying to do what they needed to do.
Yeah.
So as far as the album itself, there are definitely a couple good songs. There's, it's a step in the right direction. I mean, I still listen to it time to time. I don't listen to much Saying Anger, but it was a step in the right direction.
Yeah. I'll show you some quick footage of them throwing some riffs around for that album. We'll be right back.
Sweet. You guys are playing great.
So we saw that there was some promising riffs for sure on Death Magnetic.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that a lot of it, I just think it was still a growing process from having to reconvene as a band from Saint Anger.
They probably felt like they had to almost like retrace their steps and
Right. Yeah.
see what way they need to do it other than before.
They were like they were going for more of a like
Collective.
Getting their roots back,
Sure.
so to speak. I know that's one of those.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah, that's what kind of one of those things you just say, but I mean, it really felt like that was what they were going for. I think there was a lot of that kind of just kind of talking your lyrics out instead of singing them parts.
True.
That kind of hung around from Saint Anger a little bit. So, I wasn't too big of a fan of that, and Kirk solos, I wasn't a huge fan of them on this album. There obviously there were some good parts, but
Sure.
Yeah,
It just didn't feel like the same.
Death Magnetic definitely didn't stick out to me. That's for sure. It was one of those things that Metallica put out an album. I listened to it and I was like, cool. And then I kind of just stuck a pin in it and didn't really bother with that.
It's not that I don't like this album. I just don't listen to it much.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So on that gloomy note,
Not gloomy at all, man. No, it was good.
now I honestly just think that, again, to my point with like Saint Anger, I mean, you're surrounded by yes men with Metallica.
That's what I think the problem was. There was just, I think going to that, nobody had the cojones to say, maybe you don't want to do that, or
Yeah.
with fear of being fired. Like, what, you don't like it?
Well, it's just one of those things. I mean, it's kind of one that you just want to let Metallica do what Metallica does kind of thing. But, I mean, when you pay somebody to come in and, produce an album,
Right.
you have to, it's just like in any work environment. If you're working for a boss or a supervisor and they just don't want to hear your side of things, even though you're the one doing the work, you're doing the environment work of that stuff, how are you going to get, like, we'll say in my instance, warehouse. If you have office people making the decisions for the people who are actually working the warehouse duties, that runs into a lot of problems because there's a different mindset from things,
Right.
And they may not be as familiar with it, but you need that ebb and flow. You don't need to be a yes man to everything. You have to have somewhat of a, I want to say, like, not too overly confrontational, but you need to be able to, back and forth with your ideas, to meet that goal of what you're wanting to do. Because if you're just constantly saying yes to it, I mean, eventually you'll get to what you want, but you're going to have a lot of failures in the process.
Right.
So, and I think that's ultimately what it kind of came down to.
And that's a good point. I mean, I agree.
Yeah. So after the release of Death Magnetic, the band actually ended up getting inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yes.
And you got a nice little story about this.
Well, I mean, I watched it. No, I mean, there's kind of.
I know you really wanted to go to it.
No,
And you were trying to get to it. So
I
thought there was a little something to that.
I mean, it's not much. I really tried to go to this. Most of the Rock Hall, concerts were in New York.
Yeah,
the performances, but this one was in Cleveland, and it was an incredible show. I was watching it on TV, but yeah, I tried getting tickets for that. It was just insane. It was thousands of bucks, and I'm like, I'm broke. I don't have money for this, but.
Yeah, for the record, I'm not a Cleveland native. Obviously, I was transplanted from another state, but
Transplanted.
That was probably the wrong use of the word. I do that a lot. But I mean, I didn't think much of the Rock Hall or anything, but I've been here 5 years. I went a couple times, and I will tell you this: if you have not been to Cleveland and been to the Rock Hall, and you're a big fan of music, I would suggest you go.
It's so cool.
It's really awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, they even have it now to where you can actually like record like a little demo.
Wish I would have been there.
Yeah, I haven't got to that point yet, but I think that'd be really interesting. Just jam on random instruments, but it's really cool. But that's enough of Cleveland.
Cleveland banter.
Right.
No, the show was absolutely amazing. I mean, they had introductions. They had current band members. They had past band members come on.
Yeah.
They had Cliff Burton's father come on. I mean, they had everybody who helped them get to where they were there.
Right.
And they played a couple songs. They played Master Puppets. They played Enter Sandman. Then they had kind of like a group trio. A bunch of people come on. Played Train Keep On Rolling. Awesome.
I thought it was really cool to see Dave Mustaine and
so cool.
And as well as
just kind of buried
Jason up there
to bury the hatch. And it's like everyone's there on stage. And I was like, how
Right.
awesome is this?
You know, we can't do like this little history of Metallica without bringing up the Big Four tours.
Yes.
I mean, that was awesome. You had Anthrax,
Slayer,
Megadeth,
and Metallica.
All
was the original four. I mean, we
talk about a concertville.
I wanted to go, but
yeah.
But yeah, it was absolutely awesome, and you know they had a lot of different acts on there. They all paid a lot of respect. It was a cool night. It was a cool night for music. It was a cool night for heavy metal. I mean, you know, still at this point, there's some bands that aren't in, some bands that are.
Right.
You know, then they'll debate that from time to time, but that cemented them being one of the biggest, and they are biggest, you know, musical acts in the world.
Yeah, 100% deserve it. I mean,
100%.
They are by far the biggest metal band, even now. I mean, Slipknot's coming up.
Maybe outside of Black Sabbath. But
Slipknot's coming up, but I still think they got quite a bit of road to go.
One day. Maybe one day. Yeah.
So they take another break after
8-year break.
Yeah, basically. But in that time, they did pull off an astonishing feat where they ended up playing a show that they called Freeze 'Em All, where they played on...
Yeah, tell them about this, because this
Antarctica.
Is really freaking sweet.
They played all continents in the same year and becoming the first band to do so. I think that was really cool. And you were telling me that when they played that concert that they didn't use amps.
How crazy.
I mean, I would love to have been there and just heard.
Well, I've seen the concert.
They're just strumming on strings, and
it's like they're like in this like Thunderdome, and it's like you know, and there's a whole crowd of people around them. It's like, and then we're reading. It's like they had earbuds to listen to what was going on. Like that is so damn cool.
Yeah, I'll have that little clip right around here, just so you can see the
just
dome.
To see it was just freaking awesome.
I'm sure if you were there and you didn't have the headphones in to hear everything, you would just hear fucking Lars just banging the shit out of the drums, and that's all you'd probably be able to hear at that point.
Just imagine somebody hitting a trash can.
It wasn't that bad. He wasn't using the St. Anger snares.
I'm kidding. No, it wasn't. No.
But I just thought that was pretty cool. I had to throw that in there. But now we get to Hardwired.
Yes, we do.
And I just want to say,
baby, they're back.
I want to say that this was probably the best album cover that they've put out. And I watched, and I'll show the little clip as I'm talking about it, but how they put it all together and made that, it was genius. Mm-hmm. I thought it was so cool, and the end result just blew me away.
I don't want to burst your bubble, but I'm going to tell you this right now. I think there was someone else that had that idea.
Really?
They kind of a little bit took their approach to it.
Really?
I'll have to show it to you afterwards.
Okay. We'll put that here. There is a picture, right?
I believe so.
Right.
Yes.
I'll put it here so you get what I'm talking. I don't even know what it is right now, but I'm definitely interested to see that for sure. But I'm cool that it was awesome to see that they documented that making of the album cover. I'm glad they didn't do that part whenever they were using deer semen for an album cover, because that would have been awkward. I'm sure Peter would have got involved.
Load and reload.
Let's see how we're going to make this.
How can we top this one next?
Let me go out back and find me a nice little deer we can get around here. All we got to do is rub its belly a couple times and give it a little tickle behind the ear.
Bambi.
We'll get you semen for you, don't you worry. Talk about a load. A deer load.
Dear God. All right. So
Moving forward.
Hardwired.
Oh, my goodness.
Self
All right, here's
Destruct.
my nice little analogy I'm going to put for this that I mentioned earlier. But I feel like with Saint Anger, Metallica basically hit the reset button with the band, because I feel like the Metallica from Saint Anger onto Hardwired is a completely new band. And I say that not as actual new band, but I feel like with the more garage approach from Saint Anger, I feel like the band literally kind of went from, let's start over. I know they didn't do this intentionally, but this is the way it comes across, as a new band that kind of throws songs together like a garage band would.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go on to Death Magnetic, a little more polished, a little more distinguished,
right.
a little more stuff added to it. And then with most bands, I find, by the time you hit your third album, you're in your prime. And this is Metallica doing it again on their second half of their
10th album. Yeah. 10th studio. And then we're reinventing.
And
The
they
wheel.
knocked Hardwire. I mean, they knocked that out of the park. I keep calling it Hardwired. It's Hardwired to Self Destruct was the name of the album, but I'll refer to it as Hardwire. Forgive me. But I mean, they just balls to the wall.
Dude,
on
this
thing,
album, man. I told you, I put it on if I want. I'll go one to the end.
Yeah,
but there's still a couple that I'm in between. But absolutely,
it has.
I was so excited.
It has the roots of the band, not just the roots though. The roots have grown. They have
right.
They're fully embedded in the band, and they've made it.
It's theirs.
Tenfold.
It's theirs, and you could
Right.
You could hear while you've listened to it. You can kind of hear a little something from each album.
Right.
Each song almost has, some songs sound like they be in Unjustice for All. Some sound like Master of Puppets. Some sound like Load and Reload. That's where I totally get some of that groove that's in there.
Yeah.
And it works.
It sure does.
I totally felt that. That's why I was so high on this album to tell you, like, you got to listen to this.
Well, I was so glossed over on Death Magnetic that when they came out with another one, I wasn't
you weren't
ready
excited.
to rush into it at all.
No.
And then, people get to talking, and I was like, start hearing this buzz about the band again, which I haven't heard a lot of. I mean, most of the times you see Metallica in any kind of headlines, it's either, the band broke another record on selling
right.
so many albums still to this day. I mean,
Or
the
if they
Black
were
Album's been in the top 100 on the rock charts for years now.
Mm-hmm.
But you hear that, or you're hearing
Or they were nominated
people
for something.
shitting on Saint Anger constantly. Yeah. I mean, so when I started hearing buzz about, the band, like, a lot of people were saying, it sounds like they're old shit, I got interested. I was like, okay, let's see what this is about. And I'm really glad I did, because, just that opening track,
fucking love that song.
It gets you going, what I mean?
Dude.
So,
I must have listened to that 3 or 4 times in a row. I bought that CD the day it came out. I was like, shit, whoa, this is really fast. These guys are old and it's fast.
Yeah. And I'm not going to lie. I don't have too much to say about this part of Metallica's career, because honestly, Saint Anger pissed me off enough to where I was like, I was one of those people where, I did get into Saint Anger, but at the same time, it was enough for me to be like, okay, I cherish what I had with this band. And anytime I want to listen to Metallica, I listen to their old shit.
Right. That's where most people go, of course.
So it wasn't until recently that I started paying more attention to what they released with Death Magnetic and then Hardwired. And Hardwired really got me. He's like, maybe I should revisit Saint Anger and Death Magnetic. Just basically to put together the puzzle pieces to see how they got from there to here.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. That's all I got to say about that.
No, but I mean, I'm like I said, I'm happy you heard that and you recognize for what it is, because it's totally a step in the right direction.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't even didn't mention during the Saint Anger part, you know, James ended up going to rehab.
Oh God, we totally skipped over that.
Yeah. And that was a very crucial part of Saint Anger and some kind of monster.
That's why we had the therapist there to try to.
Well, I think he ended up going to rehab after the therapist came around. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
But, you know, the reason I bring that up is because now, I mean, they were about to do a string of tour dates with Slipknot, which would have fucking killed somebody to be able to see that. And that wasn't even going to be in America.
Nope.
But they ended up having to cancel that because James ended up going into rehab again. And, you know, we touched on it a little bit with the whole S&M thing, and he did not look great at all.
He terrible.
Like,
the guy looked tired. Just
he looked like he needed help. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
And
he was absolutely amazing again for a live performance, recording, you know, with the whole camera crew and stuff. I mean, he didn't skip a beat, but yeah, he just looked.
But yeah, he went right as this whole pandemic stuff started. So I mean, it was a great time to go, I guess. But you know, he came out, and you know, now they're doing streams and stuff. I touched on it earlier. He looks great. The whole band looks great, to be honest. I mean, guys are really taking good care of themselves, and
if they want to continue on, because you know how this is. I mean, it's
I can't.
Physical. I mean, to play that music night after night, practicing. I mean, it takes a toll.
The thing that's beautiful for me is the fact that this band is going on 40 years of a career, and I'm getting excited about rumors that they're working on another record.
I know, and I read that a couple weeks ago. I was giddy.
I mean, I haven't felt that way with Metallica in a long time. Like, I didn't feel that way when Saint Anger was being recorded.
No.
Metallica wasn't even in my mind. I don't know if it's because they had taken so much time off, or I was just that much into other things, but like, I have not been excited about them recording a new album. And I'm after Hardwired, I got chub right now, man. Well, yeah. We'll take a quick little break, and we'll be back with our pecking order.
Hey, it's Lars from Metallica here. I'm about to stick 50 grand up your ass.
$1 at a time.
All right, we're back, folks.
Back again.
All right, Pecker, let's get into that pecking order.
Pecking order.
All right, do you want to go first?
Sure, if you like. Number 5, Broken, Beat, and Scarred.
Okay.
Off of Death Magnetic. Raw ass track. It's kind of it's not a really musical song, but I mean, it's a song about, he'll put it as battle wounds, scars, show your scars off.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just raw.
Yeah, it's pretty
love
rad
it.
track, too.
Yeah. Okay. What do we got for 5, Ronnie boy?
The Day That Never Came. It's a beautiful song.
I agree.
It reminded me a lot of, like we were saying, like a reflection of the older songs and stuff. And it just reminded me of those days, but it also, at the same time, it's their new spin on things.
Right.
So it was definitely one of those songs that got me excited.
That was one of the better tracks on the album.
Yeah.
It got a lot of play, videos. I mean, it was...
Yeah, and like I said, I wasn't a huge fan of the album as a whole.
Me too.
Death Magnetic. But, I mean, that was one of those songs that'd be like, okay, guys, let's see what you're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Teasing me with that nice little melody in the beginning.
Right.
Building it up. Yeah.
I love that.
Then I told you when I went to see them, I think it was my 3rd show, they were playing that song.
Yeah.
And we're sitting middle section. And half the PA just goes out. But I won't I won't take up much of our time on that, but the PA goes out and you could just hear half the crowd just screaming. They're pissed as shit. And then he like notices it. James is like, oh, well, we have a little difficulties. Someone has to climb a fucking coffin and go up into the top risers of the arena on a tightrope and fix the damn shit.
We should put in a little clip of
I wish I could
James's frustration.
You know what? Maybe I'll try to find. I taped it, but I don't know if I can. I'll try to find it. But anyway, so that was kind of interesting how that happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, so number 4, this is off Hardwired. This is Here Comes Revenge. I like this song because honestly, if I'm in a pissed off mood or thinking some things about, no, sometimes I want to inflict the revenge. Video is really, really crazy. Yeah. And now on Hardwired, all their songs, they made a video for every song.
Yeah. It's more like an animated type comic.
So some are like kind of extreme with, either cartoons or drawings or things like that. But that was really cool just because that angle. It's a heavy song, but I really enjoy it.
Yeah. Nice choice.
Who wouldn't be, right?
My number 4 is Moth into Flames. And you informed me of something I had no idea about, that the song was about Amy Winehouse. Led you into becoming a huge Lady Gaga fan?
I will be honest, yeah.
Yeah, thought so.
Well, really, Tony Bennett stuff with her was what I really liked.
Okay, yeah, I get that.
Yeah, now he's going to not make fun of me now. Because then if we go that route, then we got to go to Blue Eyes. But
no, I'm not making fun of you at all.
You know I'm not kidding. But yeah, pretty much.
I like it, yeah.
Cool.
I just like the dynamics of the song, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the musician in me, I guess.
I agree with that.
All right, what'd you got at number 3?
So number 3 is off of Death Magnetic. This is the last song. It's called My Apocalypse. And so that song for that album kind of made me feel like, okay, this is kind of the precursor to what will come next. Just being that these songs are a little bit different, but with that one, it was kind of more to like the edge of thrash.
Sorry, my fucking camera went out.
Did it?
It's all right. We still got this one.
Oh, that's okay. But that was just kind of how it looked about.
Yeah. Hey, actually, while I'm doing my number 3, would you mind turning the camera off, turn it back on?
Oh yeah.
Record.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'd say my number 3 is Hardwired, and it goes just back to when I found out that Metallica had a new album and there was the buzz getting generated about the band, and I was totally just ready to go at it, you know what I mean? It's not coming on. Turn it off. There's a little switch by your, there you go. Flip the screen up. There we go. Hit that red button. There we go.
Hey, can you please donate to us? We need new gear.
Buy us some merch. Come on. Buy the merch.
Buy us some merch.
We'll actually roll some merch stuff at the end of this.
Yes.
We have merch.
Some good shit.
It is pretty cool.
It's awesome.
But
so what were you saying?
I'll start it. Hardwired is my number 3. We are totally authentic on this, folks.
Yes.
Hardwired, I was just really excited about the new album because of the buzz being generated, as I mentioned, and just the start of it.
Did you see the music video for that song?
I just
the freaking camera. That was so cool. I mean, it reminded me a little bit of like Enter Sandman a little bit, but like what they did. But I was just stoked.
Yeah, just the riff with the snare at the beginning of that. I mean, I got really fucking camera. All right, we're just gonna have to go with the GoPro on this one.
GoPro, it stays going. GoPro.
But, yeah, I mean, the music speaks for itself.
How about the lyrics in the song?
What lyrics?
Because James doesn't know how to pen anything, does he?
I'm just saying, it's like
we're hardwired to self-destruct. I mean, that's where we are in the world right now. We are all being tested.
Yeah,
every one of us. I know, but we just don't want to self-destruct.
Yeah, for
for lack of better term.
For the sake of dating this, this is we still don't know who the president is.
Nope.
This is the week after this is the week of the election. It's Friday after.
First time in my life we're gonna have a president figured out.
November 6th.
Yes.
But there's a lot of weird shit going on now.
Right.
Just this whole year fucking sucks.
Ready for 21.
Aside from this podcast getting started. And this
podcast
didn't get started because of the whole thing.
No.
This was something we'd been talking about way before.
Because we're big nerds.
Yeah.
So my number 2 is your number 3. I love Hardwired too.
Yeah.
Opening riff. You know what I mean? It's just like it, but that's like one of the shortest songs on the album.
Yeah.
And that was actually one of the last ones that they recorded.
Yeah.
Found that out through Howard, but they put that one at the beginning. It's like under 4 minutes. That's a fucking banger.
Yeah. I don't mean to backtrack on this, but with your number 4, I was surprised that My Apocalypse was the ending track because I thought that long ass instrumental was going to be like that should have been the last song.
Look, I mean,
because generally speaking, most bands would do that,
and that's how they did it too. Look at their instrumentals.
Yeah,
and Justice for All, they got an instrumental in. Ride the Lightning got an instrumental, not at the end, but you know they typically did that for most of their stuff. But yeah,
okay. What's
1?
I'm number 2. Actually.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. I like to do that. I always I get all excited and I just want to rush them. Proceed. No, go faster.
We'll just insert that there.
Proceed.
My number 2 is probably a shock to pretty much everybody that's going to hear this, but Invisible Kid off of Saint Anger. It's the first time I'd ever heard Metallica use this kind of tuning.
That's probably why.
And I think it reflects back on like what they were trying to do with Saint Anger is I think they were trying to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak, with the modern metal tones and stuff like that. But I looked it up and he was playing that drop A flat.
Well, you're right, because all the bands that you kind of really idolized they dropped tune.
Yeah, I mean,
Korn dropped tune.
I mean, Korn was like the heaviest tuning I had got to at that point, I think, because they were playing a whole step down from standard B, which is standard A, on a 7-string.
Right. And most of Metallica's stuff wasn't standard on their when they're live. They're
right. I think that was
step down.
That was the biggest the shift, I guess, tonally with Metallica was I was not expecting that. And I know with like Frantic and Saint Anger, most of the songs on that whole album were from drop C,
but the whole Hardwire is all in standard.
Yeah,
the whole thing.
But I mean, I'll show little clips and stuff here and there. I don't know how much I can get away with, but you can. There's some rip-off type stuff. I mean, maybe not rip-off, but so much they're trying to imitate bands that are current at that time. Like, there's stuff that sounds System of a Down-y. There's definitely some riffs that remind me of Korn. You know, maybe just the new metal genre in general.
Yeah.
But yeah. But Invisible Kid just kind of caught me off guard. I don't like the way it's mixed. I don't like the way how the song is put together per se, but
he likes the title. He likes the tuning.
I don't care about I don't even care about hearing the lyrics of this song. Just the music in general. Like, I thought it had a really good vibe to it. I think it had a lot of potential. And if I can manage to do it, I would love to make my own version of that. Maybe my interpretation of that song. Maybe I can get away with doing that. I don't know. If you want to hear that, let me know. But yeah, that was my number 2.
Invisible Kid. All right.
I'll say here.
Okay.
Go figure.
Hey, we say it's like you like what you like.
I am a unique, special boy.
So am I. You special boy.
Mama always told me I was special.
Yeah, you are.
All right, what do you got for your number 1?
Number 1 is off of Hardwired. It's Spit Out the Bone.
That's my number 1 too.
This is the best.
I love how we do this. We don't share what we've got here, and there's been several instances where we've done this. I like it.
This song is the best song that they've had since anything off Black Album. Yeah. Hands down. I listen to this at least maybe once or twice a week, something like that. I can't get enough of it. I always listen to it. I love it. I've learned most of it. The song is just, this embodies everything they do.
Yeah.
They got everything in it, and you feel like this is like, you feel like this is them from the 80s.
I would say that is a great alarm to have on your phone, especially when you do what I do and get up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
I had that on my alarm too at 5:30.
It's so funny. I have several different songs for different times to get up because I'm not going to lie. Some days I don't want to get up before.
Who wants to?
So I have a 4 o'clock alarm, a 4:05 alarm, a 4:30 alarm, and ultimately 5 o'clock.
So are all the timer alarms?
They're
all
all different.
So what do you?
They're all
Can you
different.
share that with us?
My 4 o'clock alarm is the Thunder Buddies song from Ted. When you hear the sound of thunder, don't you get,
Thunder Buddies. Yeah.
So,
okay, so
that's
first.
4 o'clock.
Okay.
4:05. It is, shit, what was my 4:05? Spit out the bone. That's what it was. Duh. I'm fucking talking about it. Spit out the bone comes out. And then my 4:30 alarm is this song by the Lonely Island.
Okay.
It's Fuck Bin Laden. You heard that? No, it's not called Fuck Bin Laden. It's called Finest Girl is what it's called. Yeah, the name of the song is called Finest Girl, and the chorus of the song is Fuck Bin Laden.
Oh, okay. I was like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, it's the chorus of the song. She
Did
wanted
you just
to
have
fuck.
a senior moment here or something?
I didn't just have a Biden moment, I swear.
Oh.
But sorry, I'm really frustrated about this whole.
We all are, but hey, we're gonna do it now too.
I could just pull a Trump and be like, it's incredible.
It's incredible.
intense.
Yeah.
I'm
You guys both suck.
We're pulling this off.
You guys both suck. You're
Tremendous.
both liars. Whatever.
Seriously, America, this is the best we can do. All right.
So okay. So,
I think we need to make a Saint Anger part 2 and we just go ham on it.
or how about just 5 minutes of everyone getting to hear that snare that you love so much?
That should be my alarm. I get up for sure. Just put my phone on the other side of the room, so I have to get up, turn it off. But anyways, my 5 o'clock one that I have to get up on is the song by Korn. It's called "Wake Up." It's on Issues.
Yeah.
Wake the
I love that
fuck
song.
up.
Yeah.
So I just have that rotating.
So that's what your alarm playlist is.
Basically.
So what does your wife think? I mean, does she hear this? Is she nudging you? Like,
no, she can sleep through anything. She does it occasionally, but most of the time.
oh, my wife will get pissed because there's times
I'm
where
like shaking her, like turn off your alarm or get up.
there's times where I'll do the same thing like that, and I'll get a nudge or I'll get maybe a light punch, and I don't know about it. But she's just like, God, she goes, how many times are you gonna let that thing go off and not hit it? I go, I don't know, I'm sleeping.
But yeah, I did have it swapped out a little bit where there's this song by Izzy Azalea. Iggy is what's her name?
Izzy Azalea.
Whoever the fuck it is. But she had that one song.
Fancy?
Yes, I'm so fancy. It annoyed the shit out of me because that was my wife's ringtone or her alarm to get up when we first started living together. Yeah, and it annoyed the shit out of me. I hate that song, and that's what, like, if it came down to it and I really needed to get up, I'd put that on because I know I'd get up, shut that off. But, yeah.
But that's funny though. I mean, but at the same time, we both have the same number one. We both kind of have alarms set to different things like that. So I mean, it works. But yeah, hands down, that's. I mean, I'm excited for the future for them. Obviously, what's going on now is obviously a concern. But if anything, this is the best time for people who are involved in music. It's the best way to get the creativity out.
Yeah, any artist right now.
And a lot of people's music that has dropped within the last 3 months, in my opinion, 4 months. I mean, I've listened to a lot of different stuff all over the place. And people are bringing it.
Yeah.
And that's what music does. I mean, it touches people's lives. And it's like when things like that happen, they can reach back and make something really good.
Yeah, for real.
So
completely agree with that.
So I'm definitely looking for the future. Hopefully, other than maybe no more future drive-in shows.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully we can actually go and
God, I hope I get to see Metallica.
you one time. Hopefully maybe my last time will be, us going if we get that opportunity.
Hopefully it's not the last, that's for sure. I hope not.
I mean, I hope it's not either, but again,
I know. Fucking 4 times already.
I just want to say, because the Rolling Stones could play so long.
Yeah.
Maybe they will, but then they're gonna have to tailor to what they can and can't play.
Right.
Or if they just keep working out like they do. I mean,
yeah, I don't see I don't know how long Lars is going to be able to keep up. But anyways, we hope you enjoyed our little Metallica bit. I know it wasn't completely full on dive, but we're just trying to
we want to be a little more entertaining with this. I mean, there's some people that are gonna really enjoy a lot of this stuff when it comes like what we've discussed about them, but then we don't want to bore everyone.
Right. Well, and there went our GoPro. So I say, let's wrap it up, Paul.
All right, let's wrap it up, Paul.
How about you send us out since you're the only one that can be seen right now?
Thanks for watching. Please vote for us. Again, we need 1,000 views or likes, and then I'll go to Mansfield. So
he didn't mean vote.
The gray tells it all.
Oh, man.
Shut up, Ron.
No,
So we
check us
appreciate
out.
you checking us out. Hopefully you will watch the second part.
Yep. ThunderRooster.com.
We'll put merch up.
Check out our merch.
Check the merch stuff.
Obviously, we need some different equipment to keep functioning properly. But thanks for checking us out.
Yeah.
We hope you come back for next week's Conspiracy Podcast, where we are going to talk about what we deemed the 27 Club.
Ooh, sounds
definitely
good.
Be interesting.
Nice.
All right, guys. Thanks for checking us out. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Peace.